Help me reach my goal and subscribe. And hit the bell icon.
Chapter 6806. Before going abroad to perform aid missions. They have done a detailed background investigation and can be regarded as a legitimate family. When they heard about the confidentiality requirements, they also cooperated very well and put away all their mobile phones for the first time. Rhea and other black-clad men were seated very scattered. Everyone sat in a row and did not communicate with anyone throughout the journey. These black-clad men were all sent by Mr. Sun to cover for Rhea. His style of doing things has always been cautious, and he does not want to leave any loopholes. And Charlie, who was far away in Shanghai, refused Tawana invitation to attend the celebration banquet after the concert ended. He drove away from the performance venue alone and went to the military airport in the north of Shanghai. At the same time as he arrived at the airport, a military transport plane landed smoothly. The military airport has no terminal building. When the plane was taxiing towards the parking position, 5 cars, 3 large and 2 small, were already waiting in front of the parking position. After the plane stopped steadily, 2 ladder trucks docked the front and rear doors. The crew came to the cabin and reminded comrades from the humanitarian aid team, please get off the plane from the front door of the plane. And comrades involved in confidential matters, please get off the plane from the rear door of the plane. Please strictly maintain discipline during the disembarkation. Do not whisper to each other. And do not take out your mobile phone. Everyone cooperated with the crew's requirements, silently picked up their carry-on luggage, and lined up to get off the plane from different doors. Rhea and other men in black boarded 2 cars, and the remaining members of the humanitarian aid team lined up to enter 3 buses. These people also had to complete the registration of entry procedures at the airport. And Rhea was directly sent out of the airport runway area after getting on the bus. In the car, the woman in charge of driving said to Rhea, "Miss Song, we will take you to the underground parking lot. Mr. Wade is waiting for you there." Rhea was nervous and excited. She said thank you softly, then pursed her lips and thought about it. The confidentiality level of military airports is generally very high. Except for the runway, which must be built in an open-air place. Almost all the rest are in a closed environment. All confidential aircraft here must be parked in the hangar after landing on a mission. Except for the vehicles for logistics support. All other vehicles are also parked in the underground garage. Charlie's BMW 530 was parked in the underground garage at this time. The black Hongqi sedan stopped in front of his car. The woman in black on the co-pilot got out of the car to open the door for Rhea and said to Rhea, "Miss Song can get out of the car." Seeing Rhea arrive, Charlie pushed the door and got out of the car. The moment he saw her, he couldn't help but be a little amazed. The woman was dressed in black, but her skin was unusually fair. She was slender, with 3-dimensional features, a straight nose, and 2 heroic sword-like eyebrows, which made her look like a female hero. However, the moment she saw Charlie, 2 bright red spots suddenly appeared on her fair cheeks. She stood in front of Charlie with her legs together, pinching her left index finger with her right hand, and said in a somewhat shy and nervous voice, "Mr. Wade, how are you?" Charlie looked at Rhea's nervousness and smiled. "You seem to be more reserved than the last time we met." You don't need to be too nervous or too polite. No one will hurt you here. Rhea listened to Charlie's magnetic voice, looked at his smile which made people feel safe, and nodded in panic. However, she knew that Charlie had misunderstood her. The reason why she was reserved was not because she was nervous in a strange environment, but because when she saw him again, their identities and her attitude towards him had changed a lot. Charlie himself was a straight man who didn't understand romance, so he naturally didn't understand why Rhea was nervous. Chapter 6807. He felt that this place was sensitive after all, and it was not suitable to stay for a long time, so he said to Rhea, "Miss Song, get in the car first. Let's talk while on the move." Rhea quickly said, "Okay, Mr. Wade." At this time, Charlie had already opened the passenger door for her. Rhea's heart was beating like a deer, and she sat in the car with a red face and squeezed her legs and clamped her hands, feeling a little uneasy. After Charlie got in the car, he started the car and left the airport. On the way to the center of Shanghai, he asked her, "Miss Song, is this your first time in China?" "Yes." Rhea nodded heavily and said, "In fact, I have wanted to come to China for a long time, but I never had the chance." Charlie nodded and said, "Shanghai is the city with the best economic development in China and ranks first in GDP. It may also be the most fashionable and internationally connected city in China. On our way back later, you can take a look at the night view of this city. If I have nothing to do tomorrow, I can take you around and let you feel the charm of China's largest city." Rhea asked nervously, "Mr. Wade, if I rashly show up on the streets of China, will it not cause you trouble?" "No," Charlie said calmly. "Sometimes as long as we predict the enemy's moves and thoughts, we can avoid the enemy's threat. Victoria may guess 100 places in the world where you may hide, but she would never think that you would be on the streets of China." Rhea nodded gently and asked him carefully, "Mr. Wade, is Jeremiah also in Shanghai now?" Charlie waved his hand. "No, she has been in Oris Hill. I don't know if you have heard of this city. Oris Hill is not far from Shanghai. It only takes around 3 hours to drive." Rhea asked again, "Does Mr. Wade usually live in Shanghai?" Charlie smiled and said, "I don't live here. In fact, I also live in Oris Hill." Rhea said with some emotion, "Then Mr. Wade has troubled to come to Shanghai to pick me up. I am flattered." "Not really," Charlie said with a frank smile. "I just came here to work these few days, and they happened to arrange for you to fly here, so I came to pick you up." After that, Charlie glanced at her and smiled. "I still have to work in Shanghai for a few more days, so you stay here with me for the next few days. After I'm done, we'll go to Oris Hill together. I'll arrange for you to meet Jeremiah at that time. If you want, you can live together." Rhea's beautiful face was full of surprise. "Mr. Wade, you are such a powerful person. Why do you still need to work? Is there anyone in this world who can afford you?" Charlie smiled and said, "I have 2 identities in life. One of them is me, you see. Of course, I don't need to work for anyone. But in Oris Hill, I have my own family and friends. They don't know my true identity. So in their eyes, I'm still a good man who works hard to make money and has a family." Rhea asked in surprise, Mr. Wade is married. Yes. Charlie nodded. I'm married. Rhea was surprised, thinking back to what Charlie had just said. And couldn't help asking curiously. Mr. Wade, doesn't your wife know your current identity? Charlie shook his head. She does not know. Oh my God. Rhea sighed. Mr. Wade hides it very deeply. Just like the men in our Song family. Charlie didn't actually know much about the specific roles that the Song family had played in the Warriors' Den over the years, so he asked. What happened to the men in the Song family? Chapter 68:08. Rhea said, in order to provide the Wu family with safe and reliable wives. The men of the Song family need to constantly enter the world, hide their identities and marry secular women. After they give birth to children, they will bring the children back to the Song family and disappear from their lives. Therefore, those women who marry men from the Song family never know who they are marrying. Charlie suddenly felt a little ashamed. Because what Rhea said was not wrong. To some extent, he, like the men of the Song family, was also hiding his identity from his partner. However, he was not as ruthless as they were. If Claire had her own child in the future, he would never leave her quietly. Seeing that Charlie was silent, Rhea realized that his analogy just now seemed a little inappropriate. So he quickly explained. I'm sorry, Mr. Wade, I'm not very good at speaking. Please don't take it to heart. Charlie laughed at himself. You are telling the truth, no need to apologize. Seeing Charlie's complicated expression, Rhea guessed that he must have his own difficulties. So he didn't ask any more questions. The car soon arrived at the prosperous downtown area of Shanghai. Rhea admired the night view of Shanghai all the way, and followed Charlie to the Shangri-La Hotel in Shanghai. Tawana and her team also stayed here. Charlie parked the car and took Rhea to the top floor of the hotel by elevator. This time, he asked Isaac to arrange for the hotel to reserve a 300-square-meter luxury suite for him. There are 2 independent suites and a large living room in the suite. One of the suites is for him to live in, and the other is for Rhea. It's not that he intends to live under the same roof with her, but he is more or less wary of her, and doesn't want her to leave his sight. In the elevator, he told her. There are 2 independent suites in the room I reserved. Each independent suite has its own bedroom, living room, and bathroom. The only difference is that you have to go in and out through the same living room. I hope Miss Song doesn't mind. Rhea immediately said, Don't worry, Mr. Wade, I don't mind. I am fine with the arrangements. In fact, Rhea also knew that Charlie was not 100% confident in her. Since he arranged it this way, she would perform well and let him be at ease. Seeing that she didn't care, Charlie nodded and continued. I've been working in Shanghai basically at night these days. So you will be with me when I work. And then you can tell the team that you are my assistant. Rhea asked curiously. I wonder what specific work Mr. Wade is doing here. Charlie said, I'm the Feng Shui director for an American singer who is here for some concerts. Rhea felt like there were countless question marks in her mind. And she said puzzledly. American singer, Feng Shui director, these 2 keywords don't seem to go together. Do Americans believe in Feng Shui? Charlie smiled and said, Some people believe it. But I don't know whether my employer believes it or not. She didn't hire me to look at Feng Shui. Rhea felt that there seemed to be a lot of hidden secrets in this. So she asked curiously. Mr. Wade, your employer this time. Could it be a female singer? Ria has been at sea these days, and has no way to contact the outside world. When she arrived in Syria, she did not connect with the world situation and news. So she didn't know about Tawana concert in China. Charlie did not hide it and said casually. The employer this time is Tawana Sweet. I wonder if Miss Song knows her. Ria's eyes widened, and she instantly turned into a fanatical female fan. And asked excitedly, Tawana Sweet. My God. Mr. Wade, are you kidding? Charlie asked curiously. Why? A cultivator like you also knows about singers. Ria said awkwardly, although I am a cultivator. But I occasionally listen to songs. I liked Tawana Sweet very much when I was a teenager. I planned to secretly go to her concert several times. But because my family was strict, I never had the chance. After that, her expression became a little expectant and excited, and she asked carefully. Mr. Wade, I wonder if I have a chance to meet Tawana Sweet. Seeing that her tone was sincere and did not seem to be joking. Chapter 6809. Charlie suddenly sighed in his heart. Even the murderous Ria before was just a girl in her early 20s. Even if she did not take other people's lives seriously, she must have her own girlish heart. So, he said calmly, you will have a chance to see her tomorrow. And if you are interested, you can watch her concert up close on both sides of the stage. Really? Ria said excitedly, that's great. Charlie brought Ria to the door of the hotel room. Just as he was about to open the door and go in, the door of the presidential suite at the end of the corridor suddenly opened. Tawana came out and saw Charlie. She was surprised and said, Mr. Wade, I was just looking for you. After that, she saw Ria, who was dressed in black, next to Charlie. She was instantly attracted by the unique temperament of this woman and was shocked. And she couldn't figure out why Charlie brought a woman back to the room at night. Was it an extramarital affair? Or where did he find a PR0 statute? Charlie said calmly, come on, Tawana, let me introduce you. This is Miss Song, my assistant. Ria looked at Tawana with joy and said politely, hello, Miss Sweet, I'm your fan. Tawana also nodded politely, walked over and shook hands with Ria, and said, hello, Miss Song, nice to meet you. When she spoke, she was very confused. Charles being the Feng Shui director for her was just a gimmick. He didn't really work, so why did he bring an assistant? Charlie didn't want to explain too much to her, but opened the door and said to Ria, Miss Song, the suite on the left side of the living room is reserved for you. Please go in first. Ria nodded respectfully. Okay, Mr. Wade. After that, he said to Tawana, Miss Sweet, I'll go in first. If you have anything to say, just talk to Mr. Wade slowly. After hearing Charlie say that one of the suites was reserved for Ria, Tawana believed that the two of them should not have any excessive relationship. Otherwise, with Charlie's character, it would be impossible for him to act hypocritically in front of her. Charlie waited for Ria to go in, and then asked Sweet, do you have something to talk to me about? Yes, and no. Tawana was a little nervous. She really had nothing to do with Charlie. It was nothing more than feeling that the night was long and she couldn't sleep. So she talked to Charlie to enhance their relationship. Charlie was puzzled and asked, Is it something or nothing? Tawana looked at her toes awkwardly and said hesitantly. Nothing, I just feel a little insomniac and want to have a drink with Mr. Wade. Charlie nodded. Okay, let's go inside and have a drink. Really? Tawana was a little happy and asked quickly. Will it not disturb Mr. Wade's rest? Charlie waved his hand and said. No, come in, just call Miss Song to have a drink together. She is tired from the journey and probably needs a drink. As he said that, Charlie had already opened the door and invited Tawana in. Tawana wanted to have a drink with Charlie. But she didn't expect that Charlie had another guest. However, seeing that Charlie was so calm, she felt that whether she or Miss Song, they should be the same in Charlie's eyes, nothing special. So she followed Charlie into the room. He invited her to sit on the sofa in the living room, and then came to the small bar on the side, where there were many drinks prepared by the hotel. Charlie asked Tawana, What would you like to drink? Red wine. Tawana blurted out. Chapter 68:10. Charlie nodded, took out a bottle of red wine and opened it, and said to Tawana, I like to drink Chinese white wine. Then he took out a bottle of premium Moutai from the bar. Then he said in a normal voice, Miss Song, come out and have a drink together. Tawana smiled and said, Mr. Wade, you speak so softly. Miss Song should not be able to hear it. The walls and doors of this hotel are very soundproof. As he was talking, the door of the bedroom on the side was pushed open, and Rhea came out and said shyly, Mr. Wade, I have never drunk alcohol before. Charlie asked in surprise. You have never drunk alcohol in your life? Rhea nodded stiffly and said ashamedly. My father always said that alcohol will interfere with people's thinking and judgment, and affect cultivar. Rhea wanted to say that it affects cultivation, but when she thought of Tawana being here, she naturally couldn't say it directly. Charlie got what she meant and smiled. Sometimes, alcohol does bring a lot of negative effects to people, as you said. But sometimes it can also make people relax and happy, and even make them burst out with inspiration. Some psychological fatigue is difficult to relieve by physical rest. But if you drink a few glasses, it will be solved. As he said, he poured a glass of red wine and 2 glasses of white wine. He handed the red wine to Tawana and handed a glass of white wine to Rhea, smiling. Alcohol is also a kind of energy, but compared to you, this energy is negligible. But you should not deliberately fight it, try to let it go in your body. The first time he met Rhea, Charlie knew that this woman had never experienced a normal life. Cold-hearted, murderous, and treating human life as worthless. She is almost a full-time killer trained since childhood. Moreover, the Song family has given her a heavy family burden, hoping that she can make the Song family prosperous. Being trained and educated like this since childhood, Rhea is seriously lacking in emotions. Although she is now submissive to him, if she is still in this state of lack of self, then for him, it is nothing more than getting a killing machine trained by others. Charlie never needs anyone to kill him. He only needs like-minded comrades. He is determined to break the psychological constraints and shackles that Rhea has always had. So, he picked up the wine glass in his hand, shook it towards the two of them, and smiled and said, You two, drink first. After that, he drank the whole glass. Tawana took a sip of the wine. This wine was not as good as the top wines she usually drank. But she still learned from Charlie to drink it all at once. Rhea smelled the strong aroma of sauce, hesitated for a moment, and drank the whole glass of wine. Because she had been practicing since she was a child, she had a very clear perception and control of various forms of energy. As soon as the liquor entered her stomach, she resisted the spicy taste, but her body suddenly became very alert. Because in the liquor, there is an energy that is in conflict with herself. Alcohol, to some extent, is no different from poison. The energy of alcohol is to numb, or even destroy a person's nerves and consciousness. The energy of poison is to take a person's life by taking this destruction a bit too far. So as soon as the wine was down, Rhea instinctively felt poisoned, and subconsciously wanted to use her spiritual energy to block all the alcohol and force it out of her body. But she soon thought of Charlie asking her not to try to deliberately confront them. So she controlled the urge to confront and let the alcohol wander in her body as much as possible. Soon, the alcohol reached the nerve center with the blood. And because there was no interference, it made her feel a little tipsy. It was also at this moment that she realized that alcohol did not seem to be as evil as she imagined. And the threat did not seem to be as great as she imagined. And the feeling of tipsy made her gradually adapt and feel a little magical. Seeing that, she seemed to have opened the door to a new world. Charlie poured another glass for himself and her and said, "Sometimes, people's sudden insights come from various coincidences. You can learn how alcohol works in the body. Maybe it will help you understand it."